Peace and shalom, Israel. Before we start the lesson, hit the notification button because we upload lessons every week and I don't want you to miss a single one of them. Like, comment, subscribe, and if there's a topic you would like for us to cover, we'll see what we can do. So until next time, cue the music. All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to everyone joining on this program. This is the Fountain of Israel Bible Studies program. And as always, it's an honor for me to stand before you on the Lord's holy Sabbath day. With that being said, today's lesson is swallow your pride. Swallow your pride. And the reason we're doing this particular lesson is because we, as knowledge increases throughout the world, and in particular knowledge of the Bible, knowledge of our identity, knowledge of His law, statutes, and commandment, knowledge of who Israel is as a whole and what's about to transpire, knowledge about prophecy that's unfolding, just knowledge about everything in general that has to do with the Bible. Many of us could get caught up in being prideful. We could get caught in this idea that we know so much and then no one can really tell us anything. We can't be instructed of anything because we know so much. And we all know that that is the beginning of our doom. That's the beginning of disaster. Pride becomes before the fall, as it were, correct? And so sometimes I think we need little reminders to say, you know what, calm down, slow down a little bit. People are in different stations. One, we don't know everything, so there's someone who may know a few things more than us. And secondly, we need to be a little bit more courteous, a little bit more humble when dealing with someone who may know less than we do. So there's always someone who's a little bit further in their walk than we are. And so we can learn something from just about anyone. We can also learn some things about those who may not understand the Bible to the extent that we do. But there's some little insights, some little nuggets that they may know, and we can get something from that. So we need to kind of keep that in mind when we deal with people and understand where they are. And also understand where we are. We know the Most High only exalts those who are humble, those who are pliable, those who are willing to learn and willing to submit, willing to obey. Those are the people that He deals with. Those are the ones that He will exalt, okay? And those are the ones he will raise up. And we just have to remember that if we want to be one of those, if we want to be counted in that number, we have to understand that we cannot be haughty and high-minded and prideful. So at this point, as we get into this lesson, we need to simply tuck our pride. Okay, we need to take inventory of ourselves and realize that we're not the end all be all. We don't know it all, and we won't know the whole story until the Messiah comes and reveals all that truth to us. We don't know everything. We don't have all the answers. And so we need to just humble ourselves and realize that we need to just be open like a sponge, ready to just absorb more information, more revelation as it comes to us. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into some of the scriptures here. And first I'm going to jump into Luke. Let's see here. Luke chapter 18. Luke chapter 18, and let's start over at verse 9 through 17. Okay? And he spake a parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. Okay, I think this is a great place to start. That people just think that they are all this. And he's told this parable over here in verse 10 actually. He said, 2 men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. And the Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. God, I thank thee that I am not as other men, or extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. And then Messiah responds this way. He says, I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. Okay, so we have abased, and abased in the Greek is 50:13. Okay, tapino. Okay, tapino, to make low, to bring low, to level, to reduce to a plane. Okay. Metaphorically, to bring into a humble condition, to reduce to meaner circumstances, to assign a lower rank or place to abase, to be ranked below others who are honored and rewarded. Okay, so this is what the Most High will do to you if you exalt yourself up. To humble or abase myself by humble living, to lower, to depress. Okay, devoid of all haughtiness. Okay, gonna knock the pride, gonna shake your pride, right? So those are the things to what the Most High will do when he says he's going to abase you, right? Okay, to abase. Now we're going to look at exalt, okay? Okay, exalted is 53:12 in the Greek, okay? Hupsou, okay, which is to lift up on high, to exalt, to metaphorically to raise to the very summit of opulence and prosperity, to exalt, to raise to dignity, honor, and happiness. Okay, you see the difference between the two. Okay, to abase you, bring you down; to exalt you, to bring you up. Okay, so let's keep going. Verse 15. He said, "And they brought unto him also infants, that he would touch them. But when his disciples saw it, they rebuked them. But Jesus called them unto him and said, Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of God. Okay, verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of God as a little child shall in no wise enter therein." Okay, those who don't, look at the example of of children. Okay, little children, little 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old little children. They are naive. They are, for the most part, innocent. Right? They don't know everything. They need a lot of guidance. They're pliable. Okay, you're talking about just little children, and this is how he's telling us, the Messiah is telling us, this is how we are to enter in. We are to approach that throne and enter into the kingdom the exact same way, like a child. Not that you know everything, not you come in, oh, I just knew this, I knew this was gonna happen. We don't know yet. Okay, it's not revealed to us just yet. We don't know everything, right? We don't do everything perfectly. We don't have a perfect picture of everything, of how everything we should do, shouldn't do, or whatever. We have a pretty good idea, but we don't know, because we can do something, and what we have on earth, we have a teacher that says, okay, this is right, this is wrong, okay, you did this right, or whatever, right? But until the Messiah comes, we don't have it perfectly, so it behooves us to be humble. We don't know exactly just yet, right? It will behoove us to be humble. We're going to continue, right? So let's go on over to James chapter 4. James chapter 4, I'm going to start at 1, and then we're going to move around a little bit. James chapter 4, verse 1, it says this: "From whence come wars and fighting among you? Come they not hence, even of your lusts that war in your members." Okay? Even the lust that war in your members, right? So I'm going to drop down to 6. I'm going to read 6 through 10. He says, "But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble." Okay? "Submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." 8. "Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Be afflicted and mourn and weep, and let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will what? Lift you up." Okay, so James even talks about this, right? He talks about us needing to humble ourselves. He gave us sound advice. Submit ourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Say, draw nigh to God, he draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners. Purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to make up your mind, using some of James' advice here. You have to make up your mind whom you're going to serve. You have to make up your mind who you're going to listen to. You're going to have to make up your mind that if you're going to serve him, you're going to be obedient, that you're going to be learning. You're going to be like a sponge, soaking up the knowledge, soaking up the Holy Spirit. You're going to have to figure that out and be not double-minded, right? well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. And you're just kind of on the fence of everything, right? You're going to have to do something about that, right? He doesn't want you to be, lukewarm. He wants you to be hot or cold. Make a decision. You cannot straddle the fence, okay? So that's one of the things that James is trying to tell us, and cleanse our hands, our sins. Do see, that's a work. That's something that you do, right? So be obedient to the law, statutes, and commandments, right? So that's what he's talking about, and purify our hearts, okay? And start thinking on those righteous things, right? One of the things that Paul was talking about in Corinthians or Philippians, think on these things, all right? The things that the Most High values and think is honorable and think is righteous, think on those things. Think about those, okay? So he's just telling that, be afflicted and mourn and weep. And let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. I mean, get serious. It's time to get serious. It's time to be sober-minded. It's time to, it's really time to take self-inventory of ourselves. And what keeps us from doing that is our pride. Because we've arrived. We know everything. Hey, we the people, we're going to get in. We're going to find ourselves. We're going to find ourselves just like the story of Lazarus and the rich man. We'll probably get to that story, but we're going to find ourselves like that. We're going to find ourselves as a rich man because, like he said, you had all these things. You had the law, you had the prophets, you had all this other stuff. And this other man, Lazarus, he didn't have anything. You had all that. And now look at you. You find yourself in this place and he's comforted. Okay? Talking about Abraham's bosom, right? But our pride won't let us. Our pride is that we get to the point to where, okay, now we know, who we are and all that. And then we get very, very prideful. And we need to be careful of that, acting as though our place is assured. Making it seem like, I got this. I'm a shoo-in for the kingdom. No, we have to hope and we have to strive for that. We have to hope and pray every day that we get in, that we are counted worthy. And yet we have so many of us who are going to let our pride get in the way, and our pride is going to get you cut off. Your pride will get you cut off. Even Paul said, hey, I need to continue this thing lest I be a cast off, unless I don't make it. But again, pride. What does it do? See, we can't learn that way. We can't get further that way. We can't grow that way because of pride. Let's continue, guys. We go to 1 Peter. 1 Peter chapter 5. And let's go through the first 7 verses right there. It says, the elders which are among you I exhort, who am also an elder, and a witness of the suffering of Christ, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of God which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly. Not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind. Neither as being lords over God's heritage, but being ensamples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, you receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For God resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. We're starting to get this. He said in verse 6, he said, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. Amen. Right? And last but not least, verse 7, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. So he's still teaching us a lesson on humbling ourselves. Because in due time, okay, like my hope, the hope that is within me is that I make it to the kingdom, that I get that changed body, that I'm able to commune and dwell with the Messiah and the Father. That's my hope. That's my hope. That's what I'm striving to do. That's what I'm trying everything I can to get to. That's what I'm trying to make it. But do I think that it's assured? I can't lose it. I can't squander it away. No, I don't. No. I don't think that. I think I can squander it away. If I go off into wickedness, I can definitely squander it away. I don't want to let my pride get in the way of me trying to accomplish the end goal. The end goal, the end game is the kingdom and the Messiah. Immortality. That's the end goal. Not to be the tail any longer. So this is key for us to figure out where we stand and to check our pride, to tuck our pride. This lesson is right on the heels of when we get into February. We're going to go into February, and that's the month where we usually do the whole Black History from the Bible. I encourage you to watch that series. I encourage you to share with other people. It's a good jump on point. But for those of us who already know who we are, I just want us, before we get into that and we refresh ourselves with our history, to keep our pride in check. And we need to check it at the door. Because we get the big hit, we get swelling words, and we get, on social media, and we start just blasting people and lambasting people left and right. Because why? We know so much, right? Yes, is Israel the chosen people? Yes. But Israel failed. And whose fault is it? Israel. So what's all that pride? Why your chest all out? Okay? Yeah, it's a wonderful, beautiful thing to be called the child of the highest. It's incredible, but it has an even greater responsibility. But we need to watch our pride. We need to check our pride. Let's keep that in mind. Let's go on over to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 8. Okay, and I'm going to start over at 11. And he said, beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God, in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Lest when ye has eaten and are full, and has built goodly houses and dwell therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thy heart be lifted up, and then forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led thee through the great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of a rock of flint. So he's asking a question, right? So let's skip down to 17. He said, and thou say in thine heart, my power and my might of my hand has gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day. And it shall be, if thou do at all forget the Lord thy God, and walk after other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day, that ye shall surely perish. Look at what he's saying. Before you get the big head, before you get, swell up with pride and thinking you did all this on your own just because you're so special, you're so great, you're so smart, you're so righteous, you're going to surely perish. You forget who did that for you, who brought you out, who provided you, who guided you, who took you by the hand. So he's saying, watch your pride right there. You need to humble yourself. Be careful before pride overtakes you, is what the Most High is saying, right? Be careful before it overtakes you. And many of us, it will do exactly that. It will overtake most people if we're not careful. It's a sneaky, sneaky little thing. Sneaky, sneaky little thing. But let's not forget whom we serve, and let's not forget where we came from. Let's not forget how we were when we were in ignorance. Let's not forget how we were when we were blinded. When we were blind, we had no idea, when the scales were still on our eyes and we had no idea where we were coming and going. When we didn't know why we suffered the way we suffer. When we're completely ignorant. Let's not forget. Tuck your pride. Let's not forget. We're going to keep going. Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs 16. We're just going to get some of these real quick. Proverbs 16 and 18. It says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. A haughty spirit before a fall. Let's look at pride. Pride in the Hebrew is 1347, is Gaon, exaltation, majesty, pride. Your nose all in the air. You got that stiff neck. Your nose all in the air. You think you're all that, right? Majesty, exaltation, excellent, of nature, pride, arrogance, okay, in the bad sense. It says right there in Thayer's, right? The same arrogancy, okay, excellency in the bad way, right? Majesty, pomp, pride, proud, and swelling. You know, you get the big head. Pride goes before the fall. Pride goeth before destruction. That means once pride sets in, oh, it's coming, right? Destruction. Look at destruction, which is a Hebrew 76:67. Okay, sheber, breaking, fraction, crushing, breach, crush, ruin, shattering, crashing. Okay, affliction in the Strongs. All these, it's bad news, right? This is simply put, it is bad news. If we let the pride overtake us, this is the kind of stuff we have in store. We need to calm down, slow down, and understand who is in control and where we were before. Proverbs chapter 11. Okay, let me get verse 2. It said, when pride cometh, then cometh shame. But with the lowly is wisdom. And when you know better, you say, you know what, let me calm down, let me back off a little bit, because you don't want that. Because I'll tell you, the person who can ultimately humble you and nothing no one else can do about it, the Most High. He can humble us in ways that a human can't do. Sometimes he does use other humans to humble us. Sometimes he doesn't. There's a certain lesson that we have to understand. There's a certain lesson. See, we got to get something. There's a certain type of being, character that he wants. And it's not a prideful one. It's not one with an ego so large, okay, that a crane couldn't lift it, okay? Not someone with that kind of ego. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Okay, we're gonna go some more. Let me switch over to my physical Bible here. We're gonna go over to Proverbs 8. Proverbs chapter 8. Just wanted to switch Bibles real quick. The actual Bible doesn't run on batteries, so I wanted to change that up a little bit. Okay, so Proverbs 8 and 13. 13 says this way: the fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the froward mouth do I hate. Okay? Do I hate all the things that these are things that he hates. So why would you be proud? Why would you be any of this? But why would you do that? Pride and being arrogant and the evil way, just cunning and scheming, talking about someone else, thinking you're so much better than other people. Calm that down. We got to calm that down. Sometimes we just got to get quiet, mind our own business, and do what we need to do. Instead of acting like our place is so assured, our place is so secure that, hey, you can just do whatever you want. No, it doesn't work that way. No, it does not work that way. We got to mind ourselves. Like they say in the old school, you got to be on your P's and Q's. Like they say in the old school, right? Let's go to Philippians chapter 2. Let's go to the New Covenant. Philippians 2, and I'm going to start at verse 1, right? If there be therefore any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels of mercy, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than themselves. Ooh, how often do we do that? How often do we do that, right? Verse 4, look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Okay, so I wanted to finish there, but When exactly do we do that? When do we look at others as better than ourselves? Isn't that the opposite of looking down on someone? Isn't that the opposite of thinking, oh, I know more than this guy. This guy's nothing, you know? Because what we do, automatically, we'll look at someone, we'll size them up, right? We'll size them up and think we're better than them, or tougher than them, or smarter than them, or have more wealth than them, or just automatically, it just comes out. If that comes, there's a pride thing right there. Now, if it comes up and you check it right away within yourself, you take a personal inventory and you check that, okay, cool, fine. You're doing something, you're trying to do something about it. But think about that for a second. Man, woman, male, female, it doesn't matter. You see someone and you just sizing them up and you casting, you making judgments and all these things as if you're in the place to judge. Right? And I'm not, don't get me wrong, you know, I don't do the Sunday Christian thing, say, you know, judge not lest you be. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. Because we do judge one another in certain matters. Okay? We do have to judge one another in certain matters. But what I'm saying is that we have to check ourselves. Because even when we judge, remember, we can't be guilty of it, right? Even when we judge, we can't be guilty of it. We can't tell a thief, well, don't steal, and then we're stealing. We fresh off of stealing. Oh, don't commit adultery, and yeah, we're committing adultery, right? So yeah, we do judge, but don't be guilty of it. Clean up your act first. Get the beam out of your eye before you worry about the speck in your brother's eye, right? I'm just trying to have all of us be careful of pride. It's a very, very, very sneaky character flaw. Very sneaky. Right? It'll have us busy, so busy looking at other people and not ourselves. Let's continue. We're going to go on over to Exodus chapter 7. Let's look at something real quick. Let's go to Exodus chapter 7. Exodus 7, I'm going to start in verse 1. I'm going to move around a little bit. Verse 1 through 6, and I'm going to move around. And the Lord said unto Moses, see, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth mine armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt, and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them, so did they. Now I'm going to drop down, and I'm going to go to verse number 10. We're going to do 10 through 13. And Moses and Aaron went unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. Okay, so he said, oh, you know what? Because he's so prideful and so arrogant, I'm not even going to let him change his mind right now, okay? I'm not going to let him change his mind to begin, you know, from there, right? So we're going to keep going, right? We can go to chapter 8, and I'm going to go 16 through 19. Exodus chapter 8, starting at 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod, and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so, for Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. Yeesh. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beast, right? So they tried to duplicate everything that the Most High was in, but they couldn't duplicate everything, right? Couldn't do that. Okay, verse 19. Then the magician said unto Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hardened and he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said. Okay, so he said that he ain't gonna change his mind. He's gonna be arrogant. He's not gonna change his mind. So we're gonna go to Exodus chapter 18, right? So this pride, haughtiness, right? Haughty. That's the Pharaoh. Exodus 18, okay, verse 1, it says, when Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done to Moses and for Israel, his people, and that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Okay, so we get that established there. Now we're going to drop down to verse 6. Going to do 6 through 11. And Moses said, and he said unto Moses, I, thy father-in-law, Jethro, am come unto thee, and thy wife, and her 2 sons with her. And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and did obeisance, and kissed him, and they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. And Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done unto Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how the Lord delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. Okay, so because he knows, okay, Jethro knows. He's like, look, man, this is the Lord. Moses was just letting him know, look, this is what happened. We did this. The Lord told us to do that, and this is what happened with the Egyptians and the Pharaoh. And he was just telling them, the great power and the miracles that the Lord was performing. Right? Humble, humble, humble. Pharaoh, not so humble. Right? And let's see here, verse 11. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, for in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them. Okay, that they dealt proudly, he was above them. Because the Egyptian pride, they were a Pharaoh. I mean, Pharaoh and all the land, all that eye can see, the Pharaoh, he owns all this. He runs all this. And there, he got wise men and magicians and stuff that do all kinds of things. Now, we know he served up the gods, but we know. So why should he? And the Most High said, I'm not going to even let him, I'm the hard in his heart, I'm not going to even let him change his mind. We're going to see this thing through to the end. Pride, haughtiness. We know a similar story even with Nebuchadnezzar, right? Okay, we know a similar story. We don't have to go there right now, but we have a similar story with that. But let's go on over to Proverbs. The Proverbs has a lot to say about pride. So we're going to go Proverbs 15. Actually, let's start at 11. Proverbs 11, we're just going to read 2. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. Okay, so we did that 11 and 2, right? I just wanted to hit that one more time. And then we're going to go to Proverbs 15 and 10. We'll go 15 and verse 10. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Okay, that's the person who's a fool and is full of pride. Okay, who's a fool and full of pride. Let's back that up. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 13, right? In verse 10, 13 and 10. It said, only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. You ever dealt with someone who's so full of pride or whatever, you can't tell them anything. They can be dead wrong. If they would just listen to you, they would have gotten that job or saved money or would have had better health or whatever the case may be. But you've already tried. You can't tell them anything. Or when you try to tell them something, oh, I know. Oh, I know. Right? If you haven't met that person, maybe that person's you, right? Because there's a lot of pride running around, right? That's pride. You can't tell them anything. Their mind is locked, sealed, and it's over. It's over. You can't tell them anything, right? So in 13 and 10, it says, only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. With the well advised is wisdom. I told you Proverbs has a lot to say about pride. We're going to go to chapter 16. Let's go to 16 in Proverbs. Go to chapter 16. 16, I'm going to read verse 5. It says, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Man, beans and rice, man. Okay, it says, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. Oh, you can just be like, well, I'm sorry. No, see, you got to watch yourself. You got to watch. I mean, a person who is proud is an abomination to the... I don't know what else to tell you. If that's not warning enough, I don't even know what else to tell you. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. We're still in 16, but I'm gonna drop down to 18 and 19. I'm gonna drop down to 18 and 19. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoils with pride. It's better to just be poor, don't have anything, and with lowly people, and then to rub elbows and stuff, and split the spoils with someone who is full of pride. You might get caught up in their judgment. The Bible has a lot to say about this. The Bible has a lot to say about this. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. 18, verse 12. 18 and 12. Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty, and before honor is humility. It's telling you exactly how we should be, giving us examples. Okay, it says before destruction, the man's heart is. Before you go to destruction, because you were haughty, you were puffed up, you were high-minded, you were arrogant, you were proud. You had a lot of pride. Right before a man just fall from grace or destroyed or whatever, there was some pride involved in there somewhere. Because the pride came first, right? Before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty, and before honor is humility. Before you even get honor, you're humble first. So why don't we get to the business of being humble? Why don't we get to the business of establishing humility before we're destroyed, before you're destroyed? Because one thing we know for sure is that it's coming. If you're prideful, your destruction is coming. It's pretty much assured. It's a guarantee. It's coming. That's how we need to look at this thing. We need to realize, right? We're still in Proverbs. Let's go to 26. Let's go to 26. It's a lot, brothers and sisters. This is a lot. Proverbs chapter 26. Pick up one verse, which would be verse 12. Seest thou a man's wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. Wise in your own conceit. You think you got it all. You think you got it all. You got it all figured out. No one can tell you anything. This is an example of what it's talking about. Something we need to be very, very careful of, right? So, that was 26. We're not done. We're going to go 27, and let's get the first two verses. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. You have no idea, right? Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips, okay? If there's anything great about you, make sure that more people are saying that about you out of their own mouth than yourself. We're in a society, it can be really hard in this particular society, right? Because we're in a society where you are supposed to brag on yourself. You're supposed to let everybody know of your accomplishments and everything. Oh, I got a degree in this. I got a master's in this, a bachelor's in that, a PhD in this, a doctorate in that. I've traveled the world. I've done this. I've done that. You know, I'm so smart. I'm so great. I'm a world class this. I'm a world class that. Look at all the business opportunity videos that you see. Hey, look, I'm in my mansion. I'm in my yacht. I'm in my S-Class, I'm in this, I got this Tesla, let me show you how to, all that, they gotta brag on themselves. I'm this, I'm that. I know it's part of marketing, it's part of personal branding and everything, but that's the kind of society, in fact, it's the kind of world that we live in. Now, I'm not saying there's something wrong with you having some sort of accomplishments. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that others should be saying that about you. It's better that others say that about you. So when you look at, say for instance, even when Paul, when he was going down his pedigree or whatever, he was just saying, just laying out some facts or whatever, but his spirit was being humble. I'm a Hebrew. So are they Hebrew? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. I'm a Hebrew of Hebrews. As a touch in the law, a Pharisee. He's just breaking down what it is. That's it. But you can present something in a humble way, or you can present something in a proud, arrogant way. Something we can all work on, right? Let's keep that in mind, brothers and sisters. Okay, we're over here in Proverbs in 27. Let's get a little bit more of this going. Psalms. Let's go to Psalms. We'll go back a book. Psalms chapter 10. Okay, and I just want one verse actually. Psalms chapter 10 and verse 4. It says, the wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. You don't need God. You don't need God. That's why. Not gonna be thinking about God. Didn't need him. I got everything. I got money. I got my house. I got my car. I got my wife or what, or my husband or whatever. If you're a woman, I got everything. I'm good. I'm good. What do I need God for? Pride. Not realizing he's the reason he allowed you to have it. Pride is a very, very sneaky thing. Very sneaky thing. So let's go ahead and let's keep going. I was talking about Daniel. I want to go to Daniel 4. Let's go to Daniel 4. Right, we're gonna go to Daniel chapter 4. I want to get there. I'm gonna start at the first verse in Daniel 4, right? Because I mentioned, Nebuchadnezzar and all that before, and we're gonna go ahead and read it. And it says, see here, it says, Nebuchadnezzar the king, unto all people, nations, and language that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. Okay. And I thought it was good to show these signs and wonders that the high God had wrought toward me. How great are his signs and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. And I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in my house and flourishing in all my palace. Okay, so you started to get it. Nebuchadnezzar got it going on. I've conquered all the known world. Okay, I'm the man. Okay, so let's just take a look, right? Verse 10. Thus were the visions of my head in my bed, and I saw, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. Okay? Going to go all the way to 17. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all. The beasts of the field had shadow under it, and the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the boughs thereof, and all flesh was fed of it. I saw a vision in my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and a holy one came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, hew down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it and the fowls from its branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of this root in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, and the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of the heaven. And let this portion be with the beast in the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. Right. So this is it. He's starting to get his recompense. Right. What's gonna, the things that are starting to happen to Nebuchadnezzar. Right. Is that this matter is by decree of the watchers. Right. And the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and give it to whomsoever he will, and set it up over it the basis of men. Right. So he's just saying, look, I give it and I can take it away, basically. Right. That's what the Most High is saying there. Right. So we're going to drop down to 20. Right. And it says in verse 20, it says, and the tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong. Okay. We're trying to get the interpretation of it. Right. Whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves was fair, and the fruit thereof much, and it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon those branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown and reached unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and a holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of irons and the brass and the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field till 7 times pass over him. This is an interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my Lord the king. Right. So he's given him the interpretation. Right. Okay. So he's given an interpretation. That they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen. And they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and give it to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility. Okay, so you can have more, you can have peace for a little longer if you just do these things, right? If you accept this interpretation that I'm giving you. All this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar, and at the end of 12 months he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? He's asked that question. Little pride welling up. He's looking at all over the kingdom. Look at what I've done, right? While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken. The kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, that they make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. So for 7, he's going to be doing this for 7 years, right? 33. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and he did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird's claws. And at the end of the days of I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the armies of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, or say unto him, what dost thou? At the same time, my reason return unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and brightness return unto me. And my counselors and my lords sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol the honor of the King of heaven, all whose works are true, and his ways judgment. And those that walk in pride, he is able to abase. So those who walk in pride, he is able to abase. This is just one of the things that happened to Nebuchadnezzar. Now we know Nebuchadnezzar, he mess up, try to do right, but hey, that pride is strong. You try your best to get rid of it, and it's gonna try to pull you right back in. And see, that's the thing. When things are going good, everything's going great. That's like the worst. When it comes to pride, that's actually the worst. That's when you have to be most careful. When things are going good in your life, that's when you have to be more circumspect. Watch out for yourselves. That's when you have to inventory yourself. That's when you have to be grateful and thankful and have that attitude of gratitude. That's when you have to do it the most, because the Most High will deal with you if not. Because he knows when the good times start coming, that's when we start wilding out and we start acting as if we don't even know him. That's when we are at our worst, where things are going great. But when we are made low, when we're brought low, when we are abased, and we have to depend on the Most High, we have to lean on the Messiah, then all of a sudden we're a little bit more pliable. We're a little bit more cooperative. The Most High knows how we are. He knows the creatures he created. And that's unfortunate that it has to come to that, because we're proud out there. A lot of times we have our brethren out there, our brothers and sisters who may be gone in jail. I don't think everyone in jail is guilty, right? But we have our brothers and sisters who are out there in jail, whether innocent or guilty. And sometimes they go to jail and then they find God, right? That's what they say. They find God. But I submit to you that they didn't have to wait till they got to jail. But that pride was first. Well, I got to do what I got to do, that kind of thing. That pride came first. And then all of a sudden, now when he gets you alone and he puts you in that box with concrete and steel, now you can hear him now all of a sudden. Right? So I'm not, and don't get me wrong, I'm not condemning people, who are in jail and stuff like that. I don't look down on them or anything like that. I'm just thinking, I think it's ironic sometimes. Right? I think it's ironic sometimes is that we start to read the Bible a little bit more when we're in a little a sale somewhere. When all the things we come to take for granted, we're not paying any attention to them. But when the Most High slap us around a little bit, and we're like, oh, wait a minute. That's when it's time to pay attention. That's when he can deal with us. Well, you know what? If you don't let the pride well up in you, you can hear him a lot clearer and more often. Let's keep going, brothers and sisters. Let's go to the last couple of places. Proverbs 29:23. Proverbs 29, verse 23. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. It's the same message that the Bible, throughout the whole Bible is trying to tell us. What can get in our way? What can get in the way of our salvation? What can get in the way of our understanding? What can get in the way of us, like the indwelling of the Ruach, right? What can get in the way of that? Well, the Spirit of God doesn't have any room when your pride is taking up all the room in your body. When your pride is taking up all the room in your temple, there's no room for the Holy Spirit to dwell in there. There's no room. It's too much you. Because we're supposed to be getting better and better and better. We're supposed to be striving to enter in. We're supposed to be getting a little bit better. We're supposed to be killing the old man, right? Killing that old man and allow the new person to dwell. If we humble ourselves. If we allow ourselves to be clay in the potter's hand. If we can do that, if you forgive all these metaphors. But if we're able to allow the potter, if we just allow ourselves to be clay and we could just be water, right? Water with the word. And then he can shape us and mold us. But what happens when it's solid like a rock, when it's like concrete, like it's hard like marble? Now you got to get the hammer and chisel. You're solid now, you solid like stone. Now you got to get the hammer and chisel. But when it's wet and malleable, all it needs is just gentle massages on the potter's wheel, right? Slight manipulation, a little water here and there, right? But pride is that hardening. Don't be the person the word can't get to you. No one can say anything. To be stiff-necked and rebellious. Don't be that person. Let's go to the last couple of places and we'll go ahead and close out. Let's go to Romans chapter 12. Got 2 places and then we'll close out. Romans 12. And I'm going to read verse 3 and then we'll drop down. In verse 3 it says, For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God has dealt with every man to the measure of faith. Right? Now, we're going to drop down to 16, where it says, Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceit. Be not wise in your own conceit. Trying to caution us. Right? Let's go to our last spot over in Galatians 6. Okay? Into Galatians 6. And first 3 verses. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. I think verse 1 merits a rereading, right? Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault or sin, look up that word fault there in the Greek, or transgression, right? If a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, now that you're spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if a man thinks himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. Don't be so quick to thinking that you are so much better than someone else. Just by pride alone. If you are full of pride, you can miss the kingdom, while a drug dealer or a harlot or something like that, through humility and obedience, they get in. See, remember Lazarus and the rich man, right? Don't be so fast to compare yourself. Because that's really where the danger starts. That you're so much better than the next person because you're so great. You did everything. You're just like that. Just like the guy in a story where he's saying, well, at least I'm not like the publican. I do this, I do that, I do all this stuff. I tithe. I'm not an adulterer. I don't do this, but I'm not like this person. Don't be too sure about that. Any of us can get cut off. And pride alone can lead us to that destruction. I hope someone has been edified by this lesson. Join us on the next one. But until next time, search the scriptures and prove all things. Peace and shalom, Israel.